Right, so I'm picking up where I left off from in the other stream that I just did about 30 or 40 minutes ago. And this particular switch had a failed or corrupted eMMC module, so NAND flash memory. And what we're going to be doing here is rebuilding it. I had to reboot my system and set things up for Windows to do this because you really can't do it under Linux. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, we can continue where we left off. So, as we can see, I've finished backing up this particular switch NAND memory. So what we've got to do is we've got to move the SD card that's in this switch and just copy that back up onto the PC. I'm not too worried about that, so what I'm going to do is pop this out. So we pop out this memory card, and what I'm going to do off camera is plug it into an SD card reader and plug that into the PC. Now, what I'm going to do is reboot this into RCM mode, which we can see here on the HuckRT menu, so I do that. Now that's sitting in recovery mode now. Now I'll flip over to the PC here, and I'll just plug this back in. I'm going to copy that somewhere safe. And again, as I say, we can see right now that my Windows machine is picking up that this is in RCM mode. What we need to do is dump the keys, and we can use this BIS-key dump to do that. So we'll do that. And there we go, we've got the BIS keys there, so I'm gonna save those into this directory here for BIS keys. And there we go, we've dumped those BIS keys now. So I'm going to have to power this switch off again, and I'm going to have to also inject RCM lockpick, which is this, lockpick RCM. I'm going to have to inject that as well to get the other keys that I need. So I've got the BIS keys, I also need the prod keys, and I don't think I need the title keys, but we'll dump that as well. So what I'm going to do, if Windows prompts you to format any drives, don't do it. It's a trap. Anyway, I'm going to flip over to my SD card, and what I'm going to do is copy this back up, and I'm just going to pop that onto a drive that has some space. I think I have some space in here, so I'm just going to paste that in here now, and in the meantime we'll let that copy over, and I'll get RCM lockpick on there as well. I think RCM lockpick does need a SD card. I actually happen to have another empty card I can use for that, so I'm going to plug that in just a second. So while that copies over, which will probably take a little while, yeah, we'll carry on with the other stuff that we need to prepare. So to do that, I'm going to take this memory card, which, as you can see, I've just dumped on there, and we've got stuff copying over as well. So we're copying over the backup that we've got on our other SD card that we've dumped. So that's copying into this directory here. And there's a few tools you're going to need to do this. You're going to need Tegra RCM GUI, which we can see here. We're also going to need eMMC HackGen. And we're also going to need the appropriate firmware to rebuild. So for this particular firmware, we had 14 fuses on the switch blown, which leads me to believe that it's on version 11. Now, there are resources that you can find online that will tell you what the number of blown fuses represent. So if we go to Google, we'll quickly look up Nintendo Switch fuse table. It should get us roughly what we're after. And we can see version 10 is 13. Every major revision blows one fuse. So as we can see, the version 9 has blown 11 fuses, up to 9.01. 9.1 to 9.2 is 12. 10 point whatever to 10.04 is... oh, I don't actually... I've overstretched my desktop. Let me just fix that for you guys. And as we can see, version 10 here has blown 13 fuses, so, you know, logic would dictate that version 11 would have blown 14 fuses, which is how many that switch is reporting. So that means we're going to need one of the version 11 firmwares. And if we go over to this page here, I will update the description of this stream as well to have links to these. We can see we've got the different firmwares. So we're going to grab version 11.0.1, which I think as of right now is the latest Nintendo Switch firmware, which is probably what that Switch is on. So we'll grab that and download it. Yeah, so we'll just grab this real quick. And you'll notice as well, in my eMMC HackGen directory, we've got a few things. We've got the BIS keys here. We're going to get the prod keys as well. I probably will stop sharing my screen whenever I'm entering those keys, because I don't want anybody else who watches this video to go cloning this console and getting it banned, because I do intend to sell this repaired machine once it's up and running, and I'd rather people not go cloning somebody's machine, you know. But yeah, so we got that underway. That's just stream right there, and there we go. We got the firmware 11.01 to save, so I'm going to dump that into HackGen here, and we'll save that. There we go. We've now got version 11.01 of the firmware, so we'll extract that with 7-zip here, firmware 11.0.1. And what I'm going to do is rename this. So I'm going to rename it to just FW for firmware. Boom, done. So as I say, the next thing we need to do now is flip back over to the Switch here and plug that memory card in. So we'll do that now, assuming I can pick it up with these gloves on. There we go. Flip that over, and then we just pop the memory card in. So I'm just going to hold this card reader down into place just for a moment here, just so it doesn't go slip and go flying. There we go. And I'm going to flip the Switch back over. Now, as you can see, I've got an RCM jig here on the side. We do need that. This is a version 1 unpatched Switch, by the way. And I'm going to hold the power button down for about 10 to 12 seconds, which is what I'm doing right here. And that will power the machine off. That should have been long enough. So you hold the volume up button, press the power button, and that should now be in recovery mode. And if we flip back to my desktop, we can now see that that is indeed in recovery mode. RCM OK, so recovery mode OK. And a moment ago we picked this payload for lockpick RCM. This is to get the keys we need to decrypt the file system on the NAND. So we'll inject that payload. And there we go. Now what we should have on the memory card in just a moment is the keys that we need. We'll switch back to the camera view, and as we can see, we've been given this colourful set of options. We want to dump from SysNAND. So to select it, we press the power button. As we can see, those have been dumped, and it tells me that it found 43 title keys, found 120 keys in total, and that those have been dumped to prod keys and title keys, which is precisely what we need. So that's great, that's fantastic. So what we want to do now is press the power button again, and what we'll do is reboot this into RCM mode once again, and you can select that with the volume buttons. So that's sitting in recovery mode waiting for a payload again. And what we'll now do is we could put this into USB mode actually. But never mind. So we'll pop that card back out, and I'll use this on my card reader when that backup's done copying, which is still going. That's taking a while. I might actually pause that backup and just copy it manually later on. Be a little risky. We do have a backup, so it's fine. I do want to keep this video progressing forward, so okay. So we've got that now. I'm going to cancel that backup copy just for now. Cancel that. I'm going to eject the Switch SD, which as we can see has just been done fine. Great. And what I'm doing here is I'm using PowerShell to navigate to that hackgen directory, which is where we saved that firmware. I do want to check the MD5, so that will just confirm that we've downloaded a non-corrupted version of the of the switch firmware, and we can do that with this command here, get file hash file name. So we'll do that. So what we'll do, get file hash get file hash firmware, yeah. And as we can see, that's saying that we've got 4C, that's a SHA-256 though. I want an MD5, so we're going to have to define MD5 with the algorithm flag. So we'll do that now. So we pass out that argument, algorithm. I've got cruise control on with a caps lock. So algorithm MD5, and we'll do that again. And there we go. So we can see that that's 7.3 blah 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 blah. And if we go back to the download page here, we can see 78677, 78677. Those hashes match, which means that firmware downloaded fine. It's not corrupted, which is great. So now we'll flip over to the File Explorer, and I'll put that SD card I just nabbed. And we'll grab those keys off of it. So we can see we've got this switch directory with prod keys. Sorry, I didn't switch to the correct scene. And we'll pop that in eMMC hackgen. I do apologise, I was going on without actually sharing the screen. I did that in the last stream as well. So now we've got the prod keys, which is quite important that we have. While we're at it, I'll also copy title keys because I think they're in here. Yeah. Don't think we need these, but we'll grab them anyway. And I'll just stick these in here. Boom. Okay. So what we want to do now is we've got a little bit of editing to do on the firmware. I can actually delete this compressed archive. We've already extracted it into this firmware directory. What we need to do now, as we know that switch is currently in recovery mode, we need to boot it with another payload, which is called memory something. I'm not sure where I put that though. Did I dump it in here? No. Somewhere around. Did I put it in here? No. So we need a particular payload called memory dump, something like that. Let me just bring that up. So let me see if anyone said anything. Nope. Okay. So we want to go over to memory payload switch, because I can't remember the full name, and I'm just hoping that Go works the rest out for me. No, because I'm probably searching the wrong thing. I'm not looking for piracy, people. Okay. Maybe I put, oh, I think I know where it is. I think it's in the unbrick switch directory. Memloader v3, that's what we need. We need this payload right here, memloader.bin. Yeah, okay, so we need to inject that. So we go over to my unbrick switch directory, memloader v3, and we want the memloader bin. We want to inject that. Yes, I'm sure I want to inject that. Great. And then if we flip back over to the camera view, if I now flip the switch back over, I don't think we need a memory card in for this operation. Failed to mount SD card. Oh, maybe I do. Okay, that's fine. We'll just pop an SD card in. So we take our SD card, pop it in. Press the power button. I'm not sure if that's in recovery mode. Maybe it's just switched off. So let's hold down the volume up button again, press the power key, and we've got RCM mode, which we can see right here. And then we inject memloader again. And what it's expecting is some profiles. You probably won't be able to see this very well on the camera view. I'll bring it up for you guys though. We've got some options here. If I can get this just a bit closer, maybe it'll decide to focus. No, it's not. But basically what we've got are some options here that say USB boot 0.ini. And what that does is it mounts the boot 0 partition of this switch. So we'll go to that and mount that. And what we'll see on Windows now is it will be asking us to format the drive. Whatever you do, for God's sake, do not format this. You will completely wreck the system. No, we don't want to format. What we do want to do now is open up NX NAND Manager. And we want to open drive. And we can see here we've got this F drive, UMS, blah blah. That's the drive we want to open. And we can see here we've got this boot 0 partition. What we want to do is restore the boot 0 partitions from the new firmware. Now we have to generate that as well, if I recall. I'm not sure if that was encrypted, but let's find out. I can't remember where everything is. So we go over to the directory we were just in, which I've lost because I'm a derp. I've got too much stuff on my desktop. This directory, that will generate based on the keys that we've got on the firmware. So I think all we need to do here is execute this from the command line. So we bring up a command prompt, and that will open a command prompt with this as our current working directory, which is great. So what we want to do is invoke emmc hackgen.exe, not a JSON file. And if we take a look at the documentation for hackgen, it tells us what we've got. So we can point it at a keys file and a firmware file. So I'm going to point it at keys is prod.keys that we just copied, and firmware is the firmware directory. And we can confirm that by bringing up the file system, and we can see we've got prod.keys there, and we've got a firmware directory there. I think that's all we need. So if we just hit enter, that should now generate what we need to write. So that's great. So the other tool you're going to need actually for this, I'm using the wrong tool for boot 0. Let's unmount this. Let's just close. I actually need to be using Etcher, Berliner Etcher. I'm not sure if it's under B or what. Where is that? Yeah, we need this tool here now to write the boot 0. So it's asking flash from file. So that's what you want to do. You want to flash from file, and you want to flash from the newly generated firmware, I think. No, wrong directory. You want to flash from here. So we've got boot 0, boot 1. So this is the boot 0 partition. And yes, that's fine. It's not a bootable image. That's perfectly okay. And what we want to do here is select this Linux UMS Disk 0 USB device. So you select that. Make sure and be absolutely sure this says 4.19 megabytes. If it doesn't, don't flash it. You could completely wreck your system. So let me just move that to another screen. What you want to do is flash this boot 0 and clench your butt cheeks. So as you can see, that's taking its time. That's now finishing. Just let it run its process. So there we go. We've flashed boot 0. That's great. We can choose flash another, remove, flash from file, and choose boot 1. But do not flash it yet. Just leave it on this screen for now. Because what we also need to do now is we need to now mount the boot 1 partition. And to do that, we go back to our camera view and we want to turn the switch back off. And we're going to need to inject that payload again. So just turn your switch off. So hold down the power button until you see the backlight go off, which it just did. Hold volume up. Press power again. And that will put us back into recovery mode. And if we look on the desktop view and bring up Tegra RCM, we can see now that that's awaiting the payload again. So we just inject it again. And if we go back to the camera view, we can now see that that's got this menu up again. This time, we want to select boot 1, which is near the top on this one. So if I scroll up, boot1.ini, go ahead and select that. Did that mount? I don't know if that mounted. There's no errors. Let's see if I can see that in Windows real quick. No, let's try that again. Let's power it off. Hold down volume up. And we'll get back into recovery mode again. And as you can see, we've got this menu again, so we're going to select UMS boot 1 again. It seems to be struggling with this. It doesn't seem to be working. Let's we'll go back to the desktop view. What we'll do is we will pop open hack. Is it HackGen? No, we'll pop open NX NAND Manager. And we can see that has not mounted. The Linux drive has not mounted, which is a bad sign. That is a bad sign. So we'll go back to the camera view. Now I'm going through diagnostic steps on this. That could be interesting though. So let me just check that I'm sharing the right thing with you guys. I am. So turn this completely off. I'm holding down the power button. I'm going to make sure that it's completely powered off. So that's been held down probably long enough. And then volume up. Power on. Once again, we'll go to Tegra RCM and we'll inject that payload. And just to make sure I've got the right one, memloader bin, inject. And then we'll flip back over here, and once again, we'll pray to the binary gods that this actually loads. So let's boot 1. There we go, that's worked now. I guess it just required a complete reset on the power, that's fine. So, now that that's a black screen, we should now be able to see that drive here, UMS mem loader, yeah, and we know that was boot 1. so that's fine. So we can go back to Boolean Etcher now. We've got boot 1 selected, so we can select the target. Select. And again, it should be 4.19 megabytes. And then we flash. Great. Now that is our... that is that properly flashed. So the next thing, we can close out of that now. We can power off the switch once again. So hold down the power button for about 12 seconds or so. That should just about do it. And then we put it back into recovery mode again, which I did not do. Let's try that again. There we go. And as you can see now, that's detected it once again. We want to inject memloader again. And then this time, what we want to do is mount UMS eMMC, which mounts the whole NAND memory, except the boot partitions. So we select that. And if we now flip back over to the desktop view, what we want to do is go back to NX NAND Manager, run it as administrator, and if you open Drive, you'll now see that we have this 29.12 gigabytes UMS Disk 0 Linux mem loader thing, so just double click that, and there we go. Now what you can see here is prod info F, and then the rest of these. Now, if I recall, prod info and prod info F aren't encrypted. Oh yeah, they are encrypted, so we do need to decrypt those. And we need to decrypt quite a few of these and then flash over the top. So this will require me adding in the key set. And if you double click, I think you need to double click. Or do I configure key set? Maybe you'd configure key set like this. I should be able to import keys from file. Now what I'm going to do is cancel that. I'm going to move that off screen. I don't really want you guys seeing the keys. So if I then go to my prod keys, save. If I bring this back into view, each of these should now be it should be properly sorted out. So again, I'm going to move this off screen, and again, I apologize, but there are keys in here that would allow somebody to duplicate this switch, which I kind of don't want to happen. So I'm just moving that off screen. And bear with me. Apologies for not speaking. I'm just sorting myself out here. So I don't think I need to do anything for prod info or prod info F. What's interesting is this doesn't look like how I remember this UI looking. It just got me a little bit like, So just please bear with me. Let me make sure I'm using the right tool here. Yeah, I am. Okay, that's HackGen, which we've used. So... yeah, so what we should be able to do is full or partial restore. And then normal main, open. And then yes. And what this will do is it will essentially overwrite what we've just been messing with there. So we'll just let that do its thing. I think that did do its thing. Full or partial restore on normal sub. Safe mode main. Safe mode sub. Now just bear with me. Because what we want to do is we also want to mount these safe system and user drives. Which I realise I'm not really showing you. I'm just being, you know, particularly careful about the keys that I've got set up here. I can't remember exactly how to mount these drives. Maybe it wasn't NAND manager I used for it. I thought it was. Where's on brick switch? It wasn't Chudadoy. Oh, I think it was hack disk mount that I used. Yeah, it was. It wasn't. Okay, it wasn't an NAND manager. So, yeah, fine. So if I just close out of an NAND manager, open physical drive, and it doesn't see it because derp. Of course it doesn't see it. Exit that. Run it as administrator. Maybe that was why. It was. Right, okay. I was just using the wrong tool, guys, that's all. I'm just being a fool. So if you take a look, this tool on the different partitions, it's asking for different keys. It's asking for BIS key 0 for the prod info. It's asking for the BIS key for these. For all of these, actually. And then if you take a look at these partitions, it's asking for BIS key 1, BIS key 2. Those are in the key file that you dumped. Now, again, being a little paranoid about those keys. So, yeah. Because I popped those keys in here. So, just for a second, I'm going to flip over to OBS. I'm just going to share this camera view just so that I don't accidentally flash up the damn keys, because it's real easy to do. I'm going to open a text editor. And I'm going to pop out the keys that I need from this. So, I'm pretty sure that I just need to do safe system and user because I did the others, but let's find out. So that's asking for BIS key 0, so let's find that in my key file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to blank it out and I'm going to show you guys what it looks, sort of what it looks like. No live chat, okay. One viewer, that's fine. So, BIS key 0. Copy. Again, I really apologise about not showing these keys. Did I just see a comment? I did see a comment. Not related. Right, okay, so again, I'm sorry this is blank. Where's tweak? Tweak. I'm looking in the wrong key file. I might be looking in the wrong key file, just bear with me. Yeah, I'm looking in the wrong key file. I need my BIS keys for this, not my prod keys. So, okay, great. So, sorry, I know I keep apologising, but I know it doesn't help when you can't see what you're doing. So crypto upper, tweak for the crypto lower on BIS key 0. Test, okay. Now, if you just give me a moment, I can possibly sort of semi-self-censor this. Maybe. No. Sorry, I can't. Browse. Desktop. So prod info is unique to your switch, so you won't be updating anything for that at all. But let me show you this UI. Let me show you sort of what I'm doing. So what we've got here, if you take a look, this is hack disk mount. We've got BIS key 0, and it's asking for a crypto upper and a tweak lower key. These are used to decrypt the file system, and you can then test that that works. We're not going to be flashing any new prod info because the prod info is like a unique it's a unique partition that contains console specific data which allows the switch to actually function. What you can do here is you can enter the BIS key 0 crypto and tweak that you have in your BIS key dump that you've made. So in this case, I'll be switching over to this notepad and I'll be copy pasting those keys directly out of that. So again, I'm just flipping back off of that while I do that real quick. I'll keep this quick and easy though, so that I don't keep you guys waiting like I have. So crypto upper is that key. Crypto lower is that key. And what you do is you press the test button and it should show green entropy, blah, 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 and then you just close it. And then what you'll do, if I go back, you'll see now what you do is you open your next partition, BC package 2 normal main, and you can see here it's asking for BISCI, crypto upper lower. So again, we need to fetch that out of the dump text file, which it's all there and easily readable. And in fact, if I flip back off that for a second, what I will do is really quickly delete some stuff out of this and show you what that file looks like with the keys in it. I'm just deleting the keys themselves so that you can't lift them from the video. I'm being paranoid. So if you take a look now, this is what it'll look like, and you will have the keys populated here. So you've got BISCI 0 there, BISCI 1, 2 and 3, and in hack disk mount you can see how those match up. So this is asking for BISCI crypto upper lower. I'm not sure that these are actually yeah, I don't think these are encrypted. But if we have a look at safe, that's asking for BISCI 1, which matches up to BISCI 1 there. That's asking for BISCI 2, which will match up to BISCI 2 here. User is asking for BISCI 3, which will match up to the keys that are just there as well. And if we go back to hack disk mount, we then have the prod info tables. I'm just going to stop sharing because I think I did enter the key on there and it will show that. Blank key, no crypto will be performed, so I can show you that. So if you take a look, that's asking for BISCI 0, which, you know, will be populated right there. So that's fine. So that's how we do it. So I'm just going to put all the keys back in this file now. And because I'm demonstrating how to rebuild the firmware, I am quite literally demonstrating how you could technically clone a switch from scratch. So you can probably see why I'm being a bit paranoid. So you test it, you save it, you close it. Test it, save it, close it. And then if we go back, if I test this, that's fine. What we do now is we click browse on restore from file, and you can see here we're in our generated firmware directory NX11 blah blah blah. We take normal main, OK, start. That restores, we're good. We do the same for normal sub. I should have used this tool from the start. I just opened the wrong tool. So that's normal sub, and that is normal sub firmware. We'll test that. Great. Start. Okay. Same for safe mode main, which we can see here. Test. Great. Start. Okay. Same for safe mode. Safe mode sub, yeah. Test, we're good. Start. Okay. Then we scroll down to safe. And what we'll do is we'll enter the BIS key. And when we've entered that BIS key, the next thing I'll do is mount this as a drive. So I'm going to mount it as G drive. I'm going to tick pass through zeros. So I'm going to enter the keys here. I'm going to test them, click save, and then mount the drive. Just so you know exactly what I'm doing. And that's BISCI 1. I'm kind of tempted to show you guys these keys, but yeah, no. So paste. I've tested the keys. They're okay. So I'm going to mount that drive now. So I'm mounting safe. That is now mounted. So I'm just going to drag that off the screen and then share the desktop again. Oh, fuck. Whoops. Yeah, that was a mistake. Well, I guess I might as well just share the keys now, whatever, fine, right, okay, I wasn't paranoid enough. So anyway, we should see a G drive. We've got nothing in there, that's fine. The next thing we want to do is unmount it and move on to the next drive. So we'll close that and we'll go to system. We want to pass through zeros, and then we want the crypto upper and lower, so you know, I might as well YOLO this now. You guys can see it anyways. And then we take that, pop that in, and we test. Okay, save, mount the drive. It takes a little while to mount, but then as we can see, if we flip back over to this, we'll see we have a G drive. This is actually the contents of that of the switch partitions. These have like save files and so on. This will be whoever owned this switch previously and their game saves and so on. We don't want any of that. There's some save metadata in there. You can see how some of this dates back to 2019, so yeah. What we're going to do is obliterate it. So we're wiping it now, we're clearing it out. Now bear in mind we do have backups for all this. We can now unmount this. No, we can't unmount this, that's a mistake. I need to remount that, sorry. So you remount that. And then what we do is we copy the new safe directory that we've generated with HackGen. So in HackGen we've got system directory, sorry. We need to copy these directories in. So we copy those. We've got that mounted as the G drive on this particular example, so apparently I can't see that for some reason. Let's unmount that and remount it. Classic Windows. So mount G drive. Again, it's important that you have pass-through zeros on. There we go. There's a G drive now in Windows. So we paste the system directory files to this system partition. The reason you can't do it with a version 2, Paul, is because you can't boot into recovery mode and you can't inject payloads. You might be able to take that memory module out of a version 2 and put it in a version 1 to sort of follow through with this. I'm sorry, this video has been a little bit all over the place. I may actually create another video sort of from start to finish that's been edited properly so that you can, you know, get a better idea of it and follow along properly, because again I'm kind of doing this on the fly and fixing my mistakes and stuff as I go, right? Like when I opened NX NAND Manager, you don't need to do that. You just need HackGen, not hack disk mount, sorry. But there we go. We've just done this system one, so we can now unmount that. The only thing I ask is please don't use my keys. Okay. And the next thing we want to do the same on the user partition, which has the same key. BISKey 3 is actually just BISKey 2 if you look at this. So if we now do that and test and save, we'll set this to G drive as well and pass through zeros and mount. And this is the user directory. To be honest, you're safer using your own keys anyways. Besides, on a version 2 you'll have to use your own keys or it won't boot. On a version 1 you can use any keys. as long as you use like a hacked partition, emu NAND partition, you can do that. Or you could use a sys NAND as well, but you'll always have to boot it with. I'm kind of going off topic, but you'd always have to boot it with what's it called, RCM mode and Hakate. So yeah. And then what we want to do is we want to go back to that firmware that we've generated. This is a clean firmware, and we want to go to the user directory, and we want to copy all of that. And we're going to be pasting it into the G drive, this drive. So what we want to do is obliterate this as well. I think this is our saves as well. Yeah. So we want to obliterate this directory. It's been a week since I last did this, and last week was the first one I did, so it's kind of like not all fresh in the mind. That's why I made a few mistakes, actually. So we want to delete that. Paste those new files in there, and then what we can do now is we can unmount that. And that should hopefully be it. That should be it. That should now be the sysnand in a very clean, factory fresh state. So what I'm going to do is switch back to the camera view, and I'm going to power the switch off, but I'm not going to load RCM mode, and we're just going to see if it actually worked. I don't know if it will. It's kind of a it can be a bit of a crapshoot with things like this. But if I go back to this now and power it off. Remove the RCM jig. Did that just load straight into recovery mode? Why is that in recovery mode? Sorry, I've got to force power it off. There we go. That's just immediately booting into recovery mode. That's interesting. Is auto RCM enabled? Okay. So if we inject the Hakate payload, bear with me. Let's see if that loads. And this guy does some interesting switch videos. I recommend you check him out. And look at that. We've now rebuilt that NAND memory. So I'm going to power it off again. I think I've accidentally enabled auto RCM somehow. I don't really know how I did that, but I'll disable that now. Yeah, let's inject that payload again. What we want to do is go to Options, no, Tools, Arch, turn off Auto RCM, just like that. And then what we can do, power it off. And there we go. Now it will boot. We have now rebuilt the firmware. That is a working switch. And I realise I've got to properly reassemble this thing, but there we go, there's one. There's the other. And that's it. We now have a repaired switch. Nice. I'm not going to go through setup. I do have to reassemble things and so on. But yeah, that is how you rebuild a version, anything greater than a version 6 firmware on the Switch. That's how you rebuild it. There's another tool called Chu de jour or something like that. I don't know how to say it, but that's not the tool to use, which is what most forums and stuff say to use. What you want to do is what I just demonstrated, essentially. But that's it. There we go. We have achieved a victory. So I think I can call it quits at this point. I hope that has been helpful. Paul, I hope that's helped you too. That should, like, if you have a Switch that's got this problem, you now know how to go about fixing it. And sort of the high level is you're gonna need to generate a new clean firmware using HackGen. You're going to need to use Hack Disk Mount, I believe, as well. In fact, what I will do, when I'm done with this stream, I'll bundle all the tools that you need together. Or links to the tools, should I say. And that should get you going. Again, I will be editing this... I will be editing one properly. What I'll probably do is restore the backup I made. And starting again, so that I purposefully brick it. And then I'll edit together a video that demonstrates this in a much better way than this live, but like that is how you would go about repairing a botched up NAND memory on a Switch. So yeah, hope that helps. And yeah, have a good one. Take care. Okay, so bye for now.